Hey everyone, it's your girl Zimbo Down Under, and thank you for joining me on today's episode, which marks the three-part series that we've been doing. If you've been following me from the beginning, you know we've made a beaded necklace, a beaded headband, and today we're going to make a beaded belt for some Ndebele girls. So thank you so much for joining me. If you're enjoying this content, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I know a lot of people have been watching without subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything to just hit the subscribe button, and I'll be bringing you more videos. So hopefully in the next videos, I'll be showing you where I bought my beads and where I bought the things that I use for this video. If you're watching this video and you haven't watched the other two, please watch the other two as well. Today we're going to do the belt. It requires you to pay a lot of attention, and you're going to see how it builds up. So let's get into the video. So here are the things that I used for this belt. Obviously my thread of choice, I'm using Wildfire beading thread, my needle, and I'm using these beads. I have 5 colors, so I've got green, orange, yellow, blue, and white. I also have my measuring tape so that I keep everything in check, as well as a pair of scissors. So let's get beading. So firstly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to unwind it. And I'll note here that when you're beading a belt, normally you use thicker thread, like twine-like thread, which is thicker and it holds the belt firm. But because I'm doing this belt for a child, I've decided to use my Wildfire thread. However, I'm doubling it. So you can see here when I'm threading it that it's doubled. When I'm threading my needle, you can see that I've doubled my thread. This is to make sure that it doesn't unravel when the kids are wearing it. I want to make sure that this belt is strong and sturdy. So to start beading, I'm going to load my needle with my starting bead as a knot like this. Once my bead is secure, I'm going to load 8 green beads as our baseline. So everything will be built upon this baseline, and it has 8 beads, and I'm not counting the first bead that I put. Once I have this baseline, I will start adding beads to the right of the baseline. To do that, I will add 4 green beads. Then from the baseline, I will count 4 beads, and my needle will go through the 4th bead. Then I will add 3 beads onto my needle, and then I will return onto my baseline, and I will count 4 beads, and my needle will go through the 4th bead. This is only for the first row. The first row you count 4 and 4. You should have something that looks like a figure 8 shape like this. And I like to turn my beading over, so I start from the bottom. Flicking it over makes it easy for you to start. So each time you start, you add 4 beads. So I'm going to add 4 beads, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then looking at our figure 8, we need to put our needle through the 3rd bead. Just remember we're building our necklace going to the right. So from the bottom of the figure 8, if we count 1, 2, the 3rd bead, that's where the needle is going. So this 3rd bead is usually the bead that's sticking out, and it will make sense as I go along. You'll see how it will stand out because it's the middle bead. Then we will add 3 beads, and I will count 1, 2, 3. And on the 3rd bead, that's where my needle will go, and I will pull my needle. And because I'm starting a new line, I'm going to turn my belt over, and now I'll start adding some color. I'm going to take 4 orange beads and I'll put them through my 3rd bead, and then I'll pull my needle, and I'll make sure that the tension of the thread is pulled as well. And because I want it to be a diamond, I still have to add the 3 green beads, and I'll count 1, 2, 3, and it's usually the bead that's sticking out. It makes more sense after the first 2 rounds. You can clearly see where you need to put. I'll flick it over and I'll go with my green again, and I'm adding 4 beads because we are starting. So count with me, 1, 2, 3. There, that's where we put our needle, pull it through, and remember at the start of each round you put 4 beads, and then at the end you put 3. So if I was making this belt for an adult, at the start I'll put 4 beads, and every other time I'll be putting 3 beads. So we're gonna continue the color scheme. You'll get a hang of it as we go. Because these are triangles, the next lot I am going to put 3 orange beads. You can see here that my green triangle is taking shape. So 3 orange beads, and then I'll flip it over, and here I need to add my last green bead, and then 3 orange beads. So 4 beads every time we start. So I'm just gonna pause the video and explain one last time. You see the green bead here where the thread is coming out? That's where you start counting. So 1, 2, 3. The third bead is usually sticking out. Look at the beads on top. So 1, 2, 3. See what I mean by it sticking out? This third bead is sticking out. So this is where my needle will go next. And then I'm gonna pull the tension. Next, I'm gonna take 3 orange beads. The middle bead is the one that's sticking out. And then I'll pull the tension, flip it over, 4 orange beads. The middle bead, the third bead is the middle bead. And then I'll pull the tension, 3 orange beads. 1, 2, 3. The one that's sticking out, which is the third bead. Flip it over. And then here, because we've come to the top of our orange bead, we're going to introduce a yellow color. So the next color is yellow. So I'm going to put 4 yellow beads. And then it's going to go in the middle bead, which is the third bead. And then I'm going to pull. Once you get a hang of it, it's easy. 3 orange beads to finish our orange triangle. And then I'm going to pull, flip it over, and I'm going to add 4 orange beads because we're still working on the orange triangle. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's going to go in the middle bead, which is that one. So the third bead, which is the middle bead. And then 3 yellow beads. 1, 2, 3. You can see that the orange triangle is almost, oh, I almost lost my I almost lost my tripod. So here I'm gonna add 4 yellow beads. I'm gonna pull the thread, and then I'm going to add 3 yellow beads. 1, 2, 3. And it's gonna go into that bead that's sticking out, which is the third bead. Flick it over, my last orange bead, and then I'm gonna add 3 yellow beads. So every time we start, remember we add 4 beads, so 1 orange and then 3 yellow beads to make that 4. And it's going to go into the third bead. Pull the tension, 3 yellow beads. 1, 2, 3. That bead that's sticking out is the third bead. Flick it over, 4 yellow beads into that bead that's sticking out. That's the third bead. Pull the tension, 3 yellow beads. 1, 2, 3. And it's going to go into that bead that's sticking out, which is the third bead. And so now, because we've come to the top of our yellow bead, we're going to start introducing the next color, which is blue. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's going to go into the third bead. Pull the tension, and then 3 yellow beads into that bead that's sticking out, which is the third bead. And I'm going to add my 4 yellow beads, and I'm going to flick my belt, and it's going to go into that bead. If this is too fast for you, you can go in your settings on YouTube and you can slow this video down. So I'm trying to make this as easy as possible. If you remember, every time you start beading, you add 4 beads, and then the second row you add 3 beads, and then when you come to the end of the row, you flick your belt so that you always start from the bottom. It's easier to understand. So I'm just going to fast forward the video and you can watch. On this belt, I decided not to put any white, so I just ended up using the 4 colors, and it worked really well. The other belt at the end of this video that I'll show you, I put a white border in between the triangles. So these are the basic steps of how to bead a belt, and you can actually use this method to make your headband if you don't have a beading loom. Go down here and show you how to add thread when you run out. It's pretty simple. What I like to do is just go back into the belt, so using my needle, and then I tie some knots as I go. So here I've tied my first knot and I keep going back, and here I'm tying my second knot, and using my needle I keep going back into the belt, so I'm going back into the holes, um, so that I secure the thread. And I just don't cut the thread. I like to go back in so that it just ends somewhere. That's not where I actually finished. So here I'm tying my third knot, you can see here, and then I'm just going to remove my needle and I'm going to tie my fourth and fifth knots, and then I'm just going to cut it off. That's basically what I do when I'm running out of thread. And then to add new thread, I like to just double the thread again. So because I had double thread before, I'm going to just double my thread again. See how I put two threads on my needle, and then the two ends that have the open end, which is the ones that I've threaded, go to the end, and then the side where it's a continuous loop, that's the one I'm going to use to create a closed join. So you see how that is. I just put my needle through and then I will loop it on the continuous end, and that way I have a clean attachment of the thread. And after that, all I simply do is continue beading. So I like to do that clean join because it makes my beading smart and it won't break. It's very strong and secure. So if you have any questions about this belt or anything that I've missed out, I've tried to slow things down. I've tried to pinpoint each thing that will make it easy for you to do this beading. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Or if you want me to try and show you in a different pattern, which I've done with my beaded necklace, I've shown you in a monotone color, I've shown you in a rainbow, I've shown different types of ways to make the necklace. Let me know in the comment section if you want me to do the same for this belt. So happy beading. I hope you're enjoying this video. So here I finished the belt. See how it came out. I actually like this colorful one with the triangles. I think it's just a clean pattern. What I'm going to do now is using the same method that I showed you earlier of joining my thread. I'm going to start making tassels. So it's going to cover three triangles, sorry, on three triangles each. It's going to cover the blue, the yellow, and the orange. And all I'm doing is I'm simply loading my first tassel with yellow, and then I'm going to put a white bead, and then I'm going to put 3 or 4 orange, a white bead, and then some yellow. So the tassels, you can just do them anyhow. It's up to you. There's many different ways of doing it. If you want, you can do them dropping down, or here I'm doing the ones that are curved ones that are going from one triangle to another. I decided to keep this part to show you how haphazard things go when I'm beading. I just didn't want you to think that I have everything figured out. I just go with the flow and see what works. I saw that the white wasn't working because I didn't have white on my belt in any way. So I decided to take it out and start afresh. So just go with the flow. So for my first arch, I've gone with 12 yellow beads, 4 orange beads, and then 12 yellow beads. And they're coming out from one end, which is the green and blue triangle, and they're gonna come to the orange and green triangle. And I'm just double checking to make sure everything is symmetrical. And then I put my needle through the orange and it's gonna come back the way that I And so what I do when I do the next arch, I'm going to reduce the number of beads. So I go 10 yellow and then 3 orange and then 10 yellow. And then I go back into that blue bead on the other side. So I've decided to do 3 tassels. So I'm doing 3 yellow tassels that are curved. And here I'm just counting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, I think 10. And then before I put my needle through, I just make sure that it's going to be as flexible as possible. So if I think that it's too much, I like to just remove a bead like that. See how I removed a bead? Yeah, so I just do trial and error and see how it goes. Sometimes I like to remove some beads. I like to keep this in the video so you know that it wasn't pre-planned. I just go with the flow. See how now See, now my beads are hanging much better than before. Before it was a bit tight, so I've ended up putting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 yellow, 3 orange, and then 10 yellow. So now I'm going to reduce by 2. I think I'm going to put 8 yellow, 2 orange, and then 8 yellow. And then I would have finished my first set of tassels. So I like to do them in threes. And then I'm going to go and do the next set and then the next set. So I think I do 3 by 3. And yay, just watch what I'm doing and hopefully it makes sense. So yay, this is the finished product. This is what my belt looks like. And now I'm going to add the ribbon that's going to tie everything together. So I'm just going to get my red ribbon because the skirts that the girls will be wearing are red. And so I'm using red ribbon so that it will just camouflage with the skirt. And I'm just going to simply tie the red ribbon towards the end of the belt. So I like to tie them and then I just take my lighter, and then I'll just burn the ends off so that it doesn't fray, and I burn it in such a way that it also doesn't pull on the clothes. So this is the final look. This is our belt with our tassels. Look how nice the colors came out. With the tassels, I just mixed the colors according to how I was feeling. And that's the first belt. And because there's two girls, that's the second belt. You can see on the second belt, I put a white border in between my triangles. So tell me which belt you like best. I think they both look nice. Once they wear them, it makes sense because one of them is got a yellow tone and then the other one has an orange tone. And I think this came out really nice as well. So here I'm just packing the girls' little outfit. So this is the final video of this series. I've got the belts here. So I'll just fold the belts. One has got an orange tone, which is the first one, and then this one has got a yellow tone. You can see that the colors are slightly different. And then the necklaces, so the orange tone necklace is got orange colors. I had run out of the red beads, so I didn't put red on her belt. And then the second necklace, which is for the yellow piece, it's got those colors and the yellow piece, so they're almost similar. And then finally the headbands, so that's the yellow tone headband, and then the other one is the orange tone headband. So it's for my two Ndebele girls from Zimbabwe that are in Australia, and I'll show you in a little snippet what they look like, or I'll attach some photos of what they look like when they're wearing their outfits. I think you've already seen on the thumbnails. And then these are the skirts, so that's the yellow tone skirt. You see the ribbon has green, white, and yellow, and then the other one is the orange tone skirt, so it's got orange, green, and white. So this is the final video. I hope to see you in my next videos where I show you where I bought these things in Africa.